Hello everyone and welcome to Club Deck Corner here at Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. Rangers are back and we're here to start the build up to the start of a new era proper as Michael Beale takes charge of his first competitive match as Rangers manager. I am Scott Carney and joining me tonight is Scott Gemmell. Scotia, how are you, mate?
Evening, Carney. Not too bad. Just sent you off air. Probably like everyone, absolutely freezing in Scotland at the minute with the temperatures. I'm really looking forward to going out to Ibrox on Thursday for that coldness to hit me, I'll tell you.
Oh, the nature of my job, mate. I am in and out the car quite a lot, and getting out the car's hard work, man. Absolutely hard work. Ryan, mate, how are you?
Aye, I'm all good, Carney. I've sobered up a wee bit since Saturday, just about. I think one of us are missing right enough. I think the last time I seen that Ali guy, he was in Dumbarton Road singing Malik Tillman's song. That was not the only time he was singing Malik Tillman's song, but we can talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. Yeah, aye, he's got away with his words. He's got away with his words. So yeah, just three of us tonight. Before we start and get into things, just a shameless plug. Please do subscribe to the channel, like the video. Also, leave your comments with your opinions on what we're going to discuss tonight. Additionally, if you would like to go a step further to support the pod, you can join the YouTube channel by becoming a member for as little as 99p a month, and you can also buy the podcast a coffee and join the Coffee Buying Legend membership via buymeacoffee.com. All the links for that are in the description for this podcast. So yes, gentlemen, first off, we will start. Let's talk about Saturday, shall we? And a bit of a Christmas night out for the podcast. But for the record, before I go any further, I have to give a massive thank you to Phil. You know exactly who you are. I cannot thank you enough for absolutely sorting the podcast out the way that you did, mate. A real experience for us to be able to go and watch Rangers in the Thornton via the Thornton Suite hospitality. It was what a day, Scotia, eh? Bit of a day.
Oh, it was fantastic. And what I should say right off the bat is thank God we done that instead of like our original plan of going to watch the B team game.
That game it's amazing how things change, isn't it?
It postponed that game, so we would have been sitting going like, oh, what are we doing? But no, it was it was an absolutely fabulous day going along to the hospitality. First time I've ever done hospitality as well, not something I've ever done. And what an experience it was from beginning to end. The staff in Ibrox were top notch. Quality, the scran you give and the drink, it was brilliant, fantastic day. If people have got the chance to go and do hospitality, even once a season or once every 5 or 6 years or something, I would highly recommend you do it because it was a top notch experience.
I've never done it either, mate. At any ground, I don't think I've done anything really along the lines of that. I've been in VIP areas and stuff like that, if you like, but never like that. That was walking into Ibrox up a marble staircase. That's something that will live with me forever. To be honest, it was a tremendous experience, mate, and I can only echo the way the staff were with us, the way the ex-players, the current players were that we managed to meet. I'll do a few name drops, a few clangs here, but we had the chance to meet Gordon Jury, Marvin Andrews, Willie Henderson, who was an absolute delight, Ben Davies and Malik Tillman, which was a real great experience. It's something I'll never forget. It was a fantastic day, it really was. You can tell by the pictures, every pictures that we put up on the socials and stuff, we're standing there grinning like Cheshire cats. It was a really, really tremendous experience, and yeah, I just again I take my hat off to Phil for sorting that, and through gritted teeth, Alistair. I thank you, Alistair, for that. Ryan, what a day, mate! It's really is out of this world, and you've just got to echo what Scotia says. If you get the chance to experience that, do it.
Aye, big time. There was so many moments we were all just looking at each other, going, "This is great." Just like appreciating it and sponging it in. It was fantastic. I think the Thornton Suite is just one that's been on the bucket list for years for me. I'm the same. I've never done hospitality at Ibrox, and I think probably down to cost and other things, but I would echo what Scotia said. It's if you can afford to do that, even put money by every month and doing it once a year or once for special occasions, I would highly recommend to do that because the treatment you get, the service, the food you get, chance to meet people like Marvin Andrews, who's one of the nicest men that I've ever met in my life. I know Scotia's met him before, but he's just such a genuine guy, and it was great. It was absolutely fantastic from start to finish, and Aye, I was trying to give Alistair as much credit as I could on Saturday, but you were shooting it down and giving it to Phil, quite rightly so. Phil was the man for giving us that, and he sorted us out. And I'm just glad I didn't have too many beers in me when I met Phil, because I thought I was going to end up cuddling him and ask him if he'd take me home.
I was borderline doing the "We're not worthy" from Wayne's World, mate, when he came in, because it was quite near the end. But no, it was just out of this world stuff. It really was out of this world, and yeah, leaving and stuff, getting a picture on the staircase, and yeah, everything about it, getting a chance to go see a trophy room. It's just a real special occasion, and yeah, I mean, it is a bit on the pricey side. I do get that, and not everybody will be able to experience it, but if you can in your life, or at least add it to your bucket list, because it is absolutely well and truly worth it. It was a real day to remember, that is for sure. And I loved every single bit of it. It was just something completely different. Even when we went in, immediately I just went, I shouldn't be here.
Like, I've spoke to you before about this. Like, when we did the press pass, I said I suffer from imposter syndrome big time.
Yeah,
and it's that I got it again on Saturday, where I was just like, same as you. I was like, I shouldn't be here. This isn't right. Like, but it is. I think it was Scotia. I was saying to him, we're walking through from the original reception room bit to the Thornton suite. Oh, we were in the trophy room, I think it was, and I said, there's no main stand like this in the world, and I'm convinced of that. There is not a main stand in any stadium I've been in doing tours like San Siro, Bernabeu, or whatever. Ibrox is unique. It's so unique, so traditional, and it's just a wonderful experience. Let's talk about this all night.
I know. It's kind of self-gratification. I do get that, but I think a major thing that I took from it as well is it didn't half give me my gander back after what we've been through. Do you know what I mean? When you get to see the tradition of the main stand, you have that feeling, and it kind of absorbs you. The main stand kind of absorbs into you, because it means so much to us. And seeing the pictures, I hadn't seen before. Walking down a corridor I'd never walked down Ibrox before. It was just something that really did get me going. I was like, this is really something quite special. And yeah, again, just from all of us, Phil, thank you so much, mate. We cannot thank you enough for that. Absolutely tremendous. Right, football now, gentlemen. Rangers, a comfortable 3-0 win. 2 from Malik, and 1 from Saturday night. I like the way you feel, Scotty Arfield. Obviously, a weakened Leverkusen team, no real doubt about it. Scotia, what did you take away from the performance? And before we obviously come on to what Beale said about it at the end, what did you take away from the performance?
Obviously it's a friendly, so you do have that big caveat there that it's a friendly. They've not played in two weeks, really. They've not really played, so it's all about getting back up to match sharpness, really, because even just that wee 1 week break they had and then back in training for 1 or 2 weeks, then some of them you might find that their fitness levels and match level fitness will have dropped off a wee bit, and that needs to get in there. So it's always difficult to take away from it. I mean, what I was mainly wanting to see is sort of what Beale's approach would be. And it was kind of what I expected in terms of how he's setting up. He was playing more like we played under when Gerrard was there. The front four, call it the front four, are an awful lot more flexible, fluid, and interchangeable. Whereas with Gio, it's almost Cholak was your static number 9. Whereas in the way Beale was playing, it was a wee bit more fluid there. And then the midfield was interesting as well, particularly. I mean, you turned to us, Carney, when the teams came out, and it was like Jack and Kamara there, and you made the joke about Jack Kamara, and it was interesting because I think it's going to be interesting going forward and seeing it in more competitive games, because I think that might be something we could potentially see until that midfield gets freshened up, that you will see a Jack and Kamara playing together in the same midfield more often than not, because what they do is they can sit back and cover for the fullbacks when the fullbacks bomb forward, which wasn't really tending to happen this season under Gio. So those were interesting things to see. And then again, what I was trying to get from the game as well was to give me an inclination in what the team would be like on Thursday coming up here. But I think with the performances by the team in the first half and the team in the second half, yes, it's a friendly, and Beale did allude to this, it's given him a bit of a headache in terms of team selection. I don't think there's anyone you can go in there and say that, his performance doesn't merit him starting on Thursday.
That's fair enough. I think Ryan will probably disagree. Ryan will probably disagree with a few, I'd imagine, and there's definitely one that I will disagree with that I didn't think then. But we'll come to individual performances in a minute. Ryan, do you take anything else other than what Scotia was saying there? Did you take anything away from the performance overall?
I think being the pessimist that I always am, I think I was kind of like pleased with the performance and how we were looking. I thought we were a lot more direct, but there's always that thing in the back of your head going, right, don't do this to yourself, don't get excited. This is only a friendly. I did this with West Ham and Tottenham, but there is a change. I think you leaned over to me during the game. I don't know if it's the second half or not, and said you can see a change. And I was like, I don't know if I can. But then immediately I was like looking at it and I was going, oh no, I can see a change. I think there was less of the everything having to pass through centre midfield, if that makes sense. Like it was a lot more direct, as if you don't do it in one pass, do it in two passes, get the ball forward quicker. Again, if it's a friendly, then we've got to see that on Thursday as well. I get it'll be difficult because Hibs will be a lot more defensive than Leverkusen were, but there were a lot more positives. There's that, no doubt. I enjoyed watching Rangers on Saturday for the first time in a while. It's no kind of secret that I've been a bit disconnected with Rangers probably lately and found it hard to go to Ibrox like we all have. But I think there were positives. I know we're going to go into individuals, but I think looking at the team, Devine, Morelos, Lowry, players who have been on the fringes have staked a claim, as Scotia said, and gave the manager a headache, which he probably wasn't expecting.
Yeah, I think you could see the tempo was much higher. There was no touch for a touch's sake. It was get the ball, pass the ball, play it forward, and direct. I know what you mean by direct. We're not talking direct like long ball direct, but just let's attack. As soon as we have forward. The ball, let's attack. Yeah, forward, go forward. Exactly. And I think there was periods of that you were saying, you were like, right, okay, that's good. And it is, look, I will caveat all this that it is a friendly. It's a weakened Leverkusen team. There's no doubt about it. However, you've got to take things as you see it, and that's the first we've seen a team play under Beale, just Beale alone even. And there was always going to be a reaction from players. These players are now know it's a fresh slate. Every time a manager comes in, it's a fresh slate. There's only, I think, off the top of my head, maybe 2-3 players that are guaranteed to start in that team, no matter what. If they're fit, they start. Goldson, Tav, possibly Ryan Kent, with the way as the stats of the club just now, that he would probably start. Disagree with me if you like, but I think that is your kind of 3 main guys within the team that are almost guaranteed to start if they are fit. So yeah, you were always going to expect that. But I know I was the same. I did say to you, I said, look, you can already see it, and maybe we're not seeing it as being something new because it's kind of a reset. It will be a kind of recycled version of what we have seen under Gerrard. That is going to be the case. But immediately I could see this was not a Gio team. And no disrespect to Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, but we were looking for a change. And I felt like in parts we did see that. We did see that. Scotia, in fact, I'll come back to you, Ryan, sorry, because you did mention a few standouts. So Devine was a standout for you. Was there anybody else that particularly stood out to you in a good way?
I definitely want to just stay in Devine just for a moment because he was obviously played out of position, and I think Devine, he goes onto the radar in terms of young players going through. I think we'll focus on Leon King, Lowry, Charlie McCann. I think Devine is probably written off for some of the supporters already in terms of whether he can make it at Rangers. I hadn't seen enough of him to make a judgment, but Ali and I were speaking to someone who goes to all the B team games. I think it was at Fir Park we were at, and he said this boy Devine's got it. He was rating him very highly. So to see him play left back, which I thought he'd done really well at left back. Yes, he's crossing. His final ball wasn't Borna Barisic standard, who we all know can whip he's got a wand of a left foot at times when he's crossing, but yeah, Devine's final ball wasn't great, but overall I thought he was very good and staked a claim for left back without a doubt at the moment. How our squad's looking. Other players, everyone know I banged the drum about Cholak being the number one striker. He still is for me. You need to create chances for him, but Alfredo Morelos didn't do himself any harm the way he played on Saturday. I thought he was very positive. Looked like he wanted the ball. Looked like he was trying to make things happen. Looked interested. Maybe for the first time this season. I don't know. That's not a bad thing for us. We need that. We need more players like that. Whether they're leaving or not, we need players to do that from now to the end of the season. It's simple as that. They have nowhere to go. So it's fight it out for the likes of Alfredo Morelos because I don't see him leaving in January. So he played well. And I thought, I mean, I turned around to you like a wee boy at Christmas when Lowry did that turn and just drove and did exactly what I want to see a centre midfielder do. He's just and slipped the ball through for the goal. I just thought, for me, Lowry plays now. I want to see Lowry starting games and see if he plays. See if he started on Thursday and doesn't play well. I start him the next game and I keep starting him and I let him make his mistakes because I think that boy's got it. I know it's a big claim, but a big shout, but I think that boy's got it to make it at Rangers. And I think we're crying out for a midfielder like that just now. So those three were probably the ones in my head at the moment. Usually maybe discuss other ones, but those three I was impressed with them on Saturday.
I would agree with all three of them. Lowry is that type of player. He only knows one direction, and I don't think it's a bad thing. My biggest fear that I have with Lowry is that there will be a certain element of the Rangers support that won't give him the time because he's going to make mistakes. He is still a boy. It will happen. He will make mistakes. It won't always work for him. And right now we are getting to the point where we're a wee bit desperate for wins, wee bit desperate for good football, and sometimes that might not be the right time. And I don't get me wrong, I think the management team will deal with that accordingly, but I do see, and again, maybe it's a wee bit hope more than anything else, but I do see a place for him within this team. There is no reason why he cannot be the understudy to the likes of Tillman, to the likes of Lawrence. He can definitely be that player, and he can develop under them. And if he does, he'll push into the first team, no doubt about it, because I agree. I think he has it. Scotia, I think, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a fanboy, I thought Ryan Jack was particularly good. I thought he showed real moments of kind of being back to the kind of old Ryan Jack, and maybe it's the wee tweaks in the system that helped him. It helped him in that sense. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, I thought Jack had a good game. I thought all four midfielders that played, Jack, Lundstrom, Kamara and Davis, when they were on, I thought they all had decent enough games, but Jack did look good. The problem with Jack is I've been in this stage with Jack before, that he comes back and he looks really sharp, and it only takes a couple of weeks before it all falters apart.
Yeah.
Again, like I think I've mentioned previously that I think this next 6 months, well, it's massive for Ryan Jack because he is basically playing to renew his contract, really, isn't he? At Ibrox, so it's a massive kind of end sort of period coming up to the end of the season for Jack. But I thought Jack was fairly decent. Like I say, I thought Kamara, he looked a bit more like himself, like the Kamara that we know is in there. He looked better than he had, because I think the only good game he put in was, what was it, PSV or USG, one of those games early on in the European qualifier or the Champions League qualifier stages were the only times he's really impressed me this season. But I thought Kamara was fairly decent, and when Lundstrom and Davis came on, and they just kind of strolled that game as well. But it's all very difficult to judge in those type of positions in midfield as well, when you're playing a team like Leverkusen, who their next competitive game, I think, is the end of 22nd, 23rd of January. I know they play Zurich in a friendly next weekend, but so they've got nothing. They're not really, I think they're just playing games to tick stuff over and tick boxes and getting some time in the pitch. So it's always very difficult to judge. But I thought that those deeper line midfielders were good. And then obviously I think the one person that Ryan hadn't mentioned there was Tillman. I thought Tillman was fabulous again in that first half.
Yeah.
His first goal was taken really well, and it's the way I've been banging on quite a bit about Tillman, and when he went a wee bit out of form, I wasn't too concerned because he's in the exact same camp as Lowry. That he's only 20, and Lowry's not even a year younger than him, so they're both at the same age. They're both very raw, but I think Tillman doesn't get given that leeway that Lowry might get sometimes because he comes with this big massive price tag, because he comes from Bayern Munich. But I was really impressed with Tillman, and I was encouraged to hear with what Beale had to say. And Beale's said it a few times now in interviews since he's got here, but he's looking really forward to working with Tillman as well.
Yeah, you are right to mention Malik Tillman. he was particularly good. And again, I don't like to do this. I don't mean it to sound like this, but he was in. You get picked man of the match. Made a wee conversation with him, and I just asked him kind of off the cuff. I was like, "How are you feeling?" I was like, "How's training?" He was like, "Oh, he's like so much more intensity he's been put into it." He's like, "I can't wait to continue working under Michael Beale," and it kind of just made me made me take a wee step back. And I know that was, I'm not telling you anything that you probably didn't already know, but it was just interesting to hear that from the horse's mouth as such. And I think he's got the potential to really flourish under Michael Beale. Ryan, quickly, anybody? Aye, who says?
It
Who
was,
says?
it was interesting.
Yeah.
It was, sorry to interrupt you. It was interesting that Tillman actually spoke to you after Ali had sung his song right in his face. So that was interesting. He'd actually taken the time to speak to you, because I thought Ali had maybe chased him away from Rangers altogether after doing that. So
Honestly,
Malik, if you're watching, I would like to apologise, Mr. behalf of Mr. Pearson, because he had his Tavernier's mum moment once again.
I did. He's like, do you know you've got a song? Do you know you've got a song? I'm like, what are you doing? What? Literally, what are you doing? Like, wow, they sang the song.
I think Tillman was just. Honestly. I think he was just humouring them. To be honest, I think he was just okay, drunk man.
Who is this drunk man? I don't even think we were that bad at that point. Actually,
no, we're all right at that time.
I remember it. I couldn't remember it. Oh, I know. Honestly, he can't help himself. He's like he turns into like a 13-year-old boy, doesn't he? And he gets so excited about a player, and he's all buzzing. I know. Aye. Don't know why he done that. I don't know why he done that. Right, Ryan. Just quickly, anybody stand out to you for the wrong reason?
Well, it's funny. I'm not going to say. I don't want to be negative because it's Beale's first game, and like I said, I'm behind him 110%. I really want this to work, and I want to see something different. I want to see something fresh, and I did see things. I don't think Tav played well. I think he was bit distribution of the ball again was poor, and the thing is with Tav, we need him to play well. I think if we're going to take him for a season, I think I'm convinced we need him to play well. We don't have anyone else. He needs to play well. So this form needs to play himself out it. And I thought he wasn't great. And it's funny, Scotia said Lundstrom was all right. Lundstrom was played. We spoke about it on Saturday. Scotia and I, he was played a kind of the right side of the midfield, which is usually where kind of Jack plays and drops in and covers Tavernier, which I think Jack's brilliant at. But Lundstrom was playing on that, and there was a couple of times he got the ball and he had turf in front of him, and I was like, drive it at. But he likes to kind of hold the ball and like slow it down a bit, and I didn't think Lundstrom was that great. I've got to say, I thought he was not a concern, but just didn't look sharp yet, and that kind of that sticks in my head, because I think that if Kamara's going to play himself out at Ibrox, then he'll want to put a show on, and if Lundstrom's playing the way he is, I would bench him at the moment. I've got to admit. So yeah, I thought him and Tav weren't great. Let's just say that.
I thought Tav's involvement for the goal was really good, and I think he take the corner, so technically he got 2 assists. He did get 2 assists.
Yeah, he got 2 assists.
But I completely understand where you're coming from, mate, because I thought the same. I thought, apart from the involvement in the goal from open play and the corner, we scored from a corner, by the way. Like, hurrah, everybody was scored from a corner. But I agree. I thought he was very ineffective at the game, and obviously he missed the penalty as well. That can happen. It's one of those things. But yeah, I didn't really see much else from him, but I do completely agree that he has to improve. But if we are going to get anything, we're going to need him in much better form. Scotia, you'll not be surprised. People won't be surprised to listen to this podcast to hear that I wasn't impressed with Rabbi Matondo again.
I did forget about him, Carney.
I just disregard.
I still look, and I know it's a friendly. I get that he's a new manager. I want him to prove me wrong, but for me, it's still a no.
No, sorry, Carney. What I'll say is I did kind of forget about Matondo, because when I'd said that he's given the manager headaches for his team selection, to be honest, Matondo didn't really cross my head for selection for the game on Thursday night, if I'm being brutally honest with you. But no, again, it was one of those wee ones where you get a chance and it wasn't just working off. But again, I want to give Matondo the whole season to do stuff, but it's getting to the stage now where people's minds are made up, and it's very, very hard to get back from. I mean, think about Barisic. You know, it took him an awful lot of effort to get back in people's good graces, and as soon as he falls off a wee bit again, it's back down to, no, well, this is what Barisic is like, kind of thing. So it's very difficult if you start your Rangers career like that, which unfortunately Matondo seems to have done.
Yeah, it is, and I want him to. Generally, I do want him to prove me wrong. There's nothing I would want more than him to prove me wrong, but there was really nothing on Saturday that I thought worked for him at all. I thought he was I thought he was the worst in the first half, if I'm being honest. I thought he was worse in the first half. So, Beale, after the game, said he was happy with some of what he'd seen and it was important to get players minutes, but he's happy that it's now out the way and he can now get on with the real football against Hibs on Thursday. He said, we tried to play two forwards in each half with Tillman staying more central as he doesn't want him drifting out wide. Scotia, you brought up Tillman. I think it's pretty clear to see that Michael Beale is very excited to be working with Malik Tillman.
Yeah, no, you get that. I mean, was it the post-match interview or the press match interview that he done? I can't remember, but he did say that, you know, Tillman's his type of player, and then, you know, he basically just said, "No, I love him, and if we can find the money," and it was interesting that he did say if we can find the money from somewhere, which didn't send off alarm bells for me, but I was like, oh, I'd be a bit worried because obviously you've got Tillman and Sands as well coming up to that option to buy kicking in the summer there. But if he could get him, he would want him. And I think he's mentioned again in his interviews on Saturday and the ones kind of previous to that, that Tillman was a player that he was aware about while he was still part of the coaching team. And it was a player that, as a group, that Rangers have been keeping tabs on. And, you know, he's mentioned that about a few of the players that have come in. But no, Tillman, yeah, I love Tillman. If he could play more centrally, it was this problem of him getting shifted out onto the right-hand side. It was the same problem that we had when Hadji was getting pushed out into the right side of the pitch. That's not their position. So, no, if Tillman can stay more centrally, it'll be interesting. And obviously, with Hadji coming back, then you've got your likes of Tillman, Hadji, and Lowry fighting it out for kind of that area of the pitch. Can only be good for one of them to come to the top.
Yeah, Ryan. He did. Scotia's right. He did say. I think it might have been with the fan media and the press after the game. Somebody said, "Would you be wanting to buy Malik Tillman?" or something along the lines. I heard this in Heart and Hand, and he said, "Well, would you sign him if you had the money?" And the person replied, "Well, yeah." And he's like, "Well, that kind of answers your question." My biggest worry with that, if I'm being honest, is it will leave very little else for us to strengthen the rest of the team. But it looks like Tillman is there's a glint in Beale's eye for him.
Yeah, I think with Tillman, I think it's very easy to forget what age he is. I certainly have a few times this season and criticised him for he's got this kind of aura that he might be a lazy player and he doesn't do the pressing the way that we think that a Rangers player should. But we've got to remember the boys. Is it 19? Is it 19 he has, or 20?
19 or 20 now, yeah.
Yeah. He's a very, very young lad with a lot to learn, and that's why he's not playing for Bayern Munich every week. To use Ali Pearson's term, he's a tin opener. When he gets the ball on the turn, and he has something special that you can see the talent that he's got. And yeah, Beale clearly fancies him, and it's good that it must feel good for Tillman to hear Beale saying that and giving him the compliments, because I've sometimes looked at Tillman and thought, are you enjoying it here? Is this obviously it's hard to enjoy it when Rangers are playing so poorly, but I wondered if he was enjoying it under Van Bronckhorst. I think his body language is questionable at times. I didn't see that on Saturday from him. He looked like a boy enjoying himself, even when he was in the suite when we were speaking to him, and with the fans, you could see he was quite happy, and he was coming across as a positive guy. So I think if we keep him in that zone and Beale gets that kind of the relationship going with Tillman, I think we'll see a lot different Malik Tillman. We can see the potential he's got anyway, but a good manager can bring that out in a player, and I'm interested to see how this one plays out. And by God, Scotia's mentioned that midfield, Hadji, Lowry and Tillman. That is my kind of midfield, boys.
Lawrence as well, I know. Aye, it's tremendous.
It
is. It's absolutely tremendous. I quite like the Beale's. He's quite honest in terms of talking to the press, and I like that he's clarified that the board have made it clear to the players that are here who they wish to keep, especially the ones that are running down their contract. I think the board have made it pretty clear that they want to keep both Morelos and Kent, and rightly or wrongly, whether you agree with that, whether you think we should move it on, as I think we've all spoke that they probably should move on and stint our next era. But again, there's things to weigh up in terms of money coming in, money going out, etc. What's going to be best for business going forward, and I do like that he's laying his cards on the table with the players and saying I want you here or I don't want you here. Whether he said I don't want you here, I'm not 100% sure, but I do like that he's he's not scared to say what he thinks exactly. It's not a bad thing, and it's actually quite refreshing. Another bit of good news. I'm not going to lie, it raised a wee smile for me. Goldson and Davis, the partnership could be returning quicker than we think. It's going to be a boost going into the kind of next run in the league, with Beale revealing that he should have 4 options at centre-half for Thursday should everything go to plan. That means obviously the return of Connor Goldson and Ben Davies, which would be, as I say, a massive boost, absolutely no doubt about it. Ryan, I do think it's probably unlikely that both will play on Thursday. However, if both enter training, again another clang, but we heard for Davis before the game. He came up into the suite and he said he was hoping to be back in training tomorrow and he was hoping to be available for Thursday. So there's definitely something in it, but to be able to have they two back in the what looks like very near future, it's a massive boost to the squad.
It's a huge boost. We're going to tell the listeners that you guys set me up when Ben Davies was coming into the suite and I walked out the toilet and you told me he was out for the season. I was like, you are joking me. You are absolutely, and you're going, he just said that he's out for the season. I was like, no way, absolutely no way. So cheers, lads, you've done me like a kipper. It's huge news for Rangers because the centre defence has looked shocking. It's looked so poor. It's just, for a lot of reasons, I don't want to be critical on King or Sands, and I've said a few times, I think King clearly has potential and is a future centre-half for this club, but for him to be our main centre-half in a time where we are under pressure and playing horribly as a team, I think is not where you want your kind of potential to be coming through. So I think it takes pressure off him. I think if the kind of more senior players like Davies and Goldson are coming back, I think it takes a bit of pressure off the boy. It's probably been good for his development, but that's the main thing for me. But having Goldson back is huge. I don't think any Rangers fan will disagree when I say Connor Goldson is a huge player for us, and anyone who didn't think it before he got injured will definitely agree with that now. He's a massive player for us, and yes, he can make his mistakes and he has the odd bad game, but Connor Goldson is your solid 7 out of 10 every week. I think he's just such a huge player for us, and if we can get him fit, and Ben Davies, who the both of them looked good as if they were striking a partnership up before they got injured, it can only be a positive for us, and more good news like this, please, Rangers.
Yeah, Scotia, you just have to hope that this is just the start of the wave of the injured players coming back, but this would just be a huge boost to at least get Connor Goldson back playing regularly, the heart of that defence again.
Yeah, I mean, what you've got there is you've got the two centre backs coming in, so then you've got that option of 4, like Beale says, which even just 2 players, what a difference that makes. Because I mean, like Davies and Sands and King, I thought they played pretty solidly on Saturday there. You know, again, it's very difficult to judge because they're not up against an attack that's really going out to properly win a game or anything. You know, but I thought they were solid enough, and I think you've seen when Sands and King have played together throughout the season in competitive games, that on certain games they look absolutely fine together. The problem that they've got is that then it's like the next game and the game after that then it breaks down a wee bit and the community goes, and then that's where we concede goals. Having Goldson in particular coming back is massive, because it gives the option there that, you know, you've got him in there and he's, like Ryan says, your main man in defence there. I think it also means that, and it's something I've said before, is that I don't think Tav's getting given a rest at points because we're playing with that inexperienced centre-back pairing, that Tav's then having to continually play there. But I think if Goldson comes back in, it kind of lifts the burden off of Tav a wee bit in terms of that defensive duty and role that he maybe feels that he has to be doing. So it's good in that respect. And yeah, Ben Davies, when he was getting up to fitness, sort of put the middle of that wee block in the season there, looked really good, and like Ryan says, striking up a really decent partnership with Goldson. So hopefully, yeah, that's them back, and it's getting them back for maybe not both for this game on Thursday, but it's, you know, coming into those games over the Christmas period, into that Old Firm game on the 2nd. Having them two back would be absolutely massive for that.
Absolutely huge, mate. Yeah, that was my thoughts exactly. Just if we can get them back to being match fit and ready towards the end of this month, then that's a massive boost, for the squad. But I say I do think it is probably highly unlikely that both of them will play. But also leads me on to King is rumoured to be in contract talks with the club to extend his stay. Also, there's reports that English Premiership teams are monitoring his progress. Again, you can take what you want from that. English teams monitor every player's progress because they have every available scout in the world to go and do the job for them. So, but I think what Ryan mentioned there, the fact that it's going to get, once we have Goldson, Davies back, your kind of senior centre halves back, it's going to give King the time to develop more and not be so kind of flung in at the deep end to a certain extent, yeah, but not to be under the constant pressure that he's been under, and it'll give him a chance to develop better. I don't think there's any real doubt about that. So for me, I'm all for King getting an extension. I think Rangers should secure him as much as they can, and if an English team want him, they're going to have to pay a considerable amount, I would imagine, due to the potential that the boy has. So, no, I'm all for that. Would you agree, Ryan? Signing up, extending King's contract's kind of a no-brainer.
It's clever business for Rangers, Carney. It is clever business. It's securing your asset and making sure if the time comes and the offers come in, then we will get the maximum amount for him. Similar to Kamara, probably when he signed his contract, I didn't think to myself, he's hanging about for those 4 years or whatever it was he signed. Rangers are going to get money for Kamara. Same with Patterson, we got money for him because he signed a contract, and it's just securing your assets and making sure you're going to get money in for them. Leon King clearly has potential, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are suitors for him in England, keeping an eye on him or even looking to move for him in January or the summer. But Rangers in a good position. I think they'll probably say to him, why don't you develop yourself for another year? Why don't you stay here? And we'll discuss it again in a year's time. And he can look at Patterson. Patterson went down there and it took him a while to get into that Everton team, so it might not be the ideal time for him to go south. But if you look at Hickey and players like that who are going abroad or going to other teams, there's definitely an avenue for him. So I think that will eventually happen with Leon King, but I don't see it in the short term. I don't see him going anywhere at the moment. I think he'll sign that contract.
Yeah, Scotia, it's just, as Ryan's correct, it's good business.
Yeah, it should be done. I was just double checking what Leon King's age was there, because obviously with younger players, I think he's 18, but with younger players, because Brexit and the way that the rules changed about signing players, English clubs now can't sign European players under the age of 18. So they're now looking up in the Scottish market. That doesn't really affect King because he's now 18. But no, like Ryan says, it's important just to get him, extend that contract down, because we don't want to lose him, because he is an exciting prospect. You know, we've been stung in the past. I think the perfect comparison you could probably make would be Danny Wilson. You know, and obviously Danny Wilson comes through with Davy Weir, looks absolutely brilliant. And then he gets snapped up by Liverpool to go down there. And it's a risk going down to England, although it's like life-changing money and stuff. But he went down to Liverpool. I think it was Dalglish was still in charge, or I don't know if it was in charge that time. So it was Dalglish signing, comes in, and then straight away change your manager. That manager doesn't fancy him, and it happens more regularly down in England. That new manager will come in and they won't fancy you, and that's you gone, and then you're put out somewhere else. So I think, yeah, it'd be good business by all parties if we could get him up in a wee bit of a longer contract.
Definitely. So we'll move on to Hibs now. Rangers take on Hibs at Ibrox with the return of league action. Kick-off is at 8 p.m. and going by all forecasts, it looks like it's going to be a tremendously freezing cold night at Ibrox. What a return. Honestly, can't wait for my buttocks to hit that chair. Hibs are currently 8th, but so you can't really read too much into that. There is only 5 points between 3rd and 8th. They had 2 friendlies during the World Cup, one which they lost 2-0 to Middlesbrough, one which they won by 1-0 against Raith Rovers. However, the last two competitive games, they lost 2-0 at home to Ross County and 1-0 away to Kilmarnock. Scotia, they're a tough team to judge this season for sure, but what are you expecting from Hibs on Thursday night at Ibrox?
Did you ask me that, Carney?
Yeah, sorry, Scotia.
Sorry, my internet
your
just
Wi-Fi
dropped.
going bonkers.
Yeah, it's completely dropped off. The TV's gone off as well, so I know it's really bad when that happens.
Right. Did you hear my question?
No. So can you repeat it, please?
The question was, Hibs are a tough team to judge, mate. That is for sure. But what are you expecting from Hibs, Ibrox, and Thursday night even?
Yeah, it's really tough, this one. Not just because it's Hibs, who are a wee bit of a yo-yo team. What they won and just looking at their league form, I think it was 1 win in the last 5 that they've had. But then you've had that 2 or 3 week break. So I was listening to the manager, and he was saying that they've got a few players back. Mentioned the likes of McGeady was back in training that he was very pleased with, and I was like, "Oh, you'd answer that. It would be great if that could happen." So I don't really know. I think Rangers against Hibs at Ibrox, we should be winning this fairly comfortably. I think. The way they played against us when we were at Easter Road earlier in the season, that game still sticks in my craw because I think we should really have won it. But they were kind of matching up to us, and they were giving us a bit of space. They weren't sitting back fully. I know it is at Easter Road, but I expect them to maybe not be too defensive against us. Don't know about you.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. As I say, they're in a bit of a weird place within the league, because it is so tight for 3rd to 8th. A win for them would mean so much. However, I don't believe that they'll fancy their chances coming and try to get a win. I think they'll probably come and try and frustrate Rangers as much as they can. The change in managers probably come at a terrible time for them because they're probably not sure what to expect as well. But I think they'll know that if they survive the first half, at least, I would have thought, they'll maybe fancy their chances of nicking something. But I think they know themselves. And I think, really, before we come on to what I expect from Rangers, I think we all know, or would like to think, how we know Rangers are going to approach this one. Ryan, your thoughts on Hibs? What do you expect? You heard my whole question, mate, so...
Sorry, man, internet dropped out there. What?
How you go?
That manager gives me the impression that he won't come and sit with 2 banks. I've got a feeling that he'll not come and have a go, but I don't know if he'll set up too defensively. I've heard a couple of things about what I'm saying about Rangers and whatever, and I don't know if he will. No matter how he does set his Hibs team up, it's the old cliche for me, and it's amplified even more due to Beale being here. But this really is a game about what we do and how we set up and how hungry our players are. These players have such a point to prove tomorrow night and Thursday night, sorry, and show what they can do, because they've taken a lot of criticism and a lot of it is deserved. I would say 99% of it's probably deserved, but they need to. Like I keep saying, there's nowhere else to turn now. There's nowhere else to go. They need to fight this out and give their all from now to end of the season. They have a new manager in now, and he'll have had conversations with them. So I'm expecting a reaction, which I don't think we were seeing under Gio. I don't think after a bad result we were seeing reactions from the team. So yeah, I know the question was about Hibs, but I've kind of went round the blocks there. But I do think this is about us, mate. I think if we play with a bit of hunger, I think it'll be a comfortable win for Rangers on Thursday.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. As I say, I do think Rangers are going to come out all guns blazing. I'm not going to lie. I think Beale will be wanting to really stamp down quick what he wants to see from this team, especially in front of a pretty full house, I would imagine. I know the weather might cause it to be a wee bit less than what we'd usually expect, but I do think he'll want to, pretty much from the get-go, just want to just put his stamp, his authority onto this team and show Ibrox exactly what he is here to do. Right, we'll come on to teams. This is quite a difficult one. Scotia, do you want to go first if your internet's still there and you're still there?
Right, the first one of the Beale era. Thankfully, it wasn't. We didn't really answer Ali's one last time round. Thankfully, yeah, this one's very difficult to judge because we don't really know what to expect, and because the way the performances with certain players at the weekend there has given Beale a wee bit of a head scratcher. But the team I'm going for is McGregor, Tav, Goldson, King, and Devine in defence. Midfield Jack, Lundstrom, and Tillman. With Kent, Cholak, and we may start doing it again. Alfie playing as well. So front three: Alfie, Cholak, and Kent.
Oh, I do like the sound of that, though. And the thing is, there's a chance of that possibly happening. I think, yeah, I'm kind of humming and hawing because I think if Davies or Goldson is fit, enough to play. I don't think he'll play Goldson because he's been out for longer. So I think he'll play Davies instead of Goldson. So the back line, I would say McGregor, Tav, King, Davies, Devine, and then Lundstrom, Jack, Tillman, and I've went Kent, Morelos. Yeah, I'm going to copy you. I'm going to say Trolak as the front man. I was going to play Scott. I was thinking about Scott Wright, but to see Alfredo and Trolak going at it, going for it, that's very exciting. That's very, very exciting. So, yeah, I'll go with that, mate. I'll back you on that one. Ryan?
I agree with you with the back four. I think that's the reason why Goals won't play as well. So I'll go with your back four. I think Jack Amara will make an appearance on Thursday with Tillman, and I'm going to go Kent, Cholak. Do you know what? Morelos as well. There you go.
Yes.
Because I think he's played. I think he's played well, and I think he deserves it. I've not said this season. I think Morelos deserves his chance on Thursday, and I think Beale will have that kind of relationship with him. He knows what he can do, and he'll probably believe he can get the best Alfredo that we can see. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with Lundstrom on the bench, which I think is deserved.
That's fair enough, mate. That's fair enough. Yeah, I'll stick with Lundstrom, Jack. I can see Jack Amara, though. I can 100% I can see that, mate. Ryan, your score and your first goal scorer.
See if he gets a tune out of Jack Amara, then he is the greatest manager that's ever lived. I'll go for 3-0 Rangers. Alfredo Morelos first goal.
Sounds good. I'll go 3-1 Rangers, and I'll go Ryan Kent to score first goal. Scotia.
I did have 3-0. I'll go 4-0. 4-0 with Tillman, first goal scorer. Just something to warm us up on that cold night at Ibrox on Thursday.
Yeah, that would be nice. A boring 0-0 draw I cannot take because it's going to be so cold, man. Man up, layer up, everybody. Layer up, hats, scarves, gloves, you name it, man. 4 pair of long johns. Get them on you. Get yourself to Ibrox. I can't wait. I can't wait to see us in proper competitive action now under Beale. I really can't. I can't wait for it now. So, yeah, roll on Thursday. So that'll do us for tonight. As always, like the video, subscribe to the channel. That would be much appreciated. And wherever you listen to us, if you could drop us a wee 5-star rating, that would be much appreciated. For tonight, Scotia, thank you very much, mate.
Yeah, pleasure. Good to get the normal football back, even though I have been enjoying the World Cup. Good to get back to the normal grind of the Rangers day-to-day, week-to-week. So, yeah, hope our team wins on Thursday.
The World Cup is nothing but a sideshow compared to Rangers, mate. Ryan, thank you very much for tonight, mate.
Thank you, mate. I enjoyed that. That was positive and optimistic, and I'm looking forward to go to Ibrox on Thursday. And I can confirm Scotia really enjoyed the World Cup on Saturday night.
He was very happy. He was very happy. He was very, very happy. So yeah, so that'll do us. We'll be back on Thursday with a reaction in one form or another after the game. So we are Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. Speak to you all next time. Cheers, everybody.